Hello and welcome to Mann's Model Moments. Now, as you're probably aware, Airfix recently partnered with Lidl in the UK to make a very questionable set of construction set releases. People have all sorts of opinions and justifications for this, and I gave my thoughts in my video review of them. Check that out here if you haven't seen that yet. But what I'm going to do today is take the basic remit, a set of non-military releases for a low price point, and give you 20 kits from Airfix's repertoire that I think would have been better than the majority of what they released, with a brief explanation of why I think that as well. With that, let's get straight into it. Now, the first category I'm going to look at are cars, and I think the DB5 was a great choice for this lineup, and in fact Airfix could easily have gone with a solid cars only lineup here without any issues, or included much better alternatives to the Land Rover kit, depending on their strategy. Here are some of my choices. Let's face it, the 1991 JMB Models 176 scale Land Rover was not a great choice for Airfix here. Especially when this kit, the 2024 143rd starter kit of the Series 1 pickup exists. This is a great kit, very recognisable and relevant, and would be a great Father's Day gift or an introduction to the hobby for a younger modeler. Definitely at least 100 times better than what they did. The wonderful E-Type Jaguar, one of the most singly recognisable and iconic classic cars in the world. Like the Aston Martin DB5, it's elegant and dramatic in all the right ways, and the Airfix starter set tooling of it is superbly engineered too. James May uses this in his Gin and Jag set, which I also reviewed in my video, which I'll link here again if you've not yet seen that, and if it's good enough for him, why not Lidl? Coming to something more recognisable and affordable though, why not go with a car many will not only recognise, but also could conceivably own? Although not the original British Mini, the 1/32nd scale Mini Cooper S is still recognisable and also more relevant to younger fathers and their children than the 1960s car. If price point is the concern, then this kit is going to give you a better margin than the more recent toolings. Appealing perhaps to the more sports-oriented, the very recognisable Ford Fiesta in its rallying form would be a nice kit for many. Once again, this is going to be more relevant to a much wider segment of people going into Lidl than the Aston Martin DB5, and I think part of the corporation should be thinking about that target market a bit more than appears to have been done. The Bond Bug has a couple of things going for it. It's unusual enough to be eye-catching, especially in its bright orange finish, and is also a fairly recent release that's sold out, and so still has a level of desirability amongst modelers, meaning that even if regular people don't buy them, modelers will go to Lidl specifically to pick up this kit. And maybe some groceries at the same time. Now, cheap 1/72nd scale aircraft in retail stores is pretty synonymous with the name of Airfix, and once again it would be easy to make up an entire release here within the constraints of price point and non-military use. Because of that, I'm going to look at just British aviation display teams, which combines recognition with bright colours. The first one here is obvious. Why go back to the 2011 amended 2009 tooling when the starter set tooling exists? No need for a separate injection moulding run of a product, the existing starter set contents can be used in their entirety. The user gets a better experience with a better engineered and simpler build, and there's less costs associated with tool changes. Seems obvious. Again, I'm not exactly flexing a huge amount of mental muscle here to come up with this one either, but the Folland Gnat directly predated the Hawk used by the Red Arrows, and prior to that it was used by the Yellowjacks display team, which would create a nice contrast to the Red Arrow's Hawk. The kit is from 2012 and has been produced in the Yellowjacks format before, again minimising decal design costs. Sticking with the display team theme, it would have been super easy to create a complete set of major RAF display teams for this release, and the red and white Pelicans with their Jet Provost is another shoe-in, since this one again already exists in the Airfix inventory, making adjustment costs minimal for this release. It's distinct from the later all-red scheme, which is a bit too similar to the later red arrows, meaning you can have both released at the same time without impinging on each other. The Lightning is sleek, evocative and decidedly British, and the Firebirds display team flew these in distinctive red and silver livery in 1963, so using the tooling from that time would enable a very desirable boxing of the subject that would appeal to young prospective modellers and old alike. Now, it's not the best kit, but it is cost effective and fairly simple, and with an eye-catching scheme, these would mean that these are unlikely to get relegated to the last chance to buy bin. The last of the display team items, a much older and simpler tooling of this very aesthetically appealing aircraft, the 1950 Hunter. Not exactly a fabulous kit, but for $6.99 with appropriate decals, this would be a simple and very bright display piece, and the kit is so basic it's not really going to matter too much about its faults. Airfix could even number these 1 to 5 in a display team series, so that people know that there are others to buy and search for the remaining ones in other stores, something I'm sure Lidl would appreciate. Now, if your aircraft sensibilities run to the more gentle age of piston aircraft, then Airfix again has more than enough to satisfy this requirement too, all of which are better than the awful DH-88 that they gave us. Instead of the DH-88 Comet then, I think this kit would be a better release from the same tooling period in Airfix's history for a number of reasons. Firstly, it's not been seen for a while. The last time was back in 2006 as part of a limited edition release, which immediately means that it has a certain appeal to modelers who haven't seen this kit before, or at least haven't had the opportunity to purchase it. Secondly, it's a more interesting and unusual aircraft than the DH-88, and its racing pedigree make it firmly civilian and give some excellent box art possibilities. Plus its association with the development of the Spitfire in the future, of course, means it both looks good and it has an interesting history. Now, the Beagle Basset was a relatively recent vintage classics release, and it sold out pretty quickly. It's an elegant, twin-engined aircraft and more than suitable for this type of release. I think because of how well it did in its VC release, this would make for an easy clearing of any and all stock Lidl would have taken on. There's a scheme shown here for the Royal Flying Doctor Service in Australia too, which is about as non-military as I can think of. Another light aircraft used as a trainer by the RAF but also built for export and now often seen in private hands, there is one flown by Airability, which is formerly the British Disabled Flying Association, which would make a nice departure from RAF schemes as well as promoting a good cause, which I'm sure all parties would be happy with here. Another relatively recent vintage classics release with a transparency retooling, I think releasing this in a more visible format on Lidl shelves would allow Airfix to recoup a little more of the associated costs with that commendable rework. Again, there's minimal extra work here since the decal design and all of that already exist. The last of the prop aircraft I'm going to mention here is the venerable Tiger Moth, because this is not only a more recent tooling, hailing from 2013, but it's also a very popular civilian aircraft which people can still fly in, and there are plenty of places, like Classic Wings, that offer gift package experiences in these aircraft, so tying this kit into that by representing one of those Classic Wings airframes seems an obvious thing to do, especially if this is aimed at a Father's Day type of market. The The last category I'm going for is my free choice, because Airfix have a large back catalogue that can widen the appeal of any general offering for a retail store, and I think they should have leaned into that a little more than they did. Now, the first one I've included here is the Hawker P1127, which is the test and development aircraft that led to the Harrier, of course. As such, it's a civilian aircraft, but still very recognisable, and using a bit of a loophole in the civilian guise to get a more interesting jet into these boxes. It might not have flown, pardon the pun, with Lidl, but I would have presented it because it's not a bad little build, and the recent VC release of it sold out pretty quickly again. So, once more, it has modeler appeal at this price. A completely unique and very unusual subject, the SR.N1 Hovercraft was another relatively recent vintage classic release that sold out and would be a welcome return for modelers, as well as having that novelty appeal to those in little stores that might just buy it because of how weird it is. The 1/48 scale quad bikes were released just once as part of the Operation Herrick sets that Airfix did, and then dropped at the first sign of controversy. However, the quad bike is a ubiquitous and very familiar thing, and boxing these without the soldiers and with some bright paint gives an obvious civilian release that I think would have appealed to a lot of people, especially in rural areas, as well as being snapped up by modelers. All it needed was a little bit of thought. Now, we're missing a ship from the current lineup, and I can't think of a better one than the Mary Rose, currently already released as a starter set. All this requires is a new box, it's an easy and fun build, it looks nice, and it provides a different type of model for those who prefer maritime exploits. Now, you can't really get much more recognisable, especially to Gen X and older, than the 1969 Apollo moon landing missions, and the 1/72nd scale lunar module is already being released this year as the One Small Step set, together with a vac form base and figures. Strip that back to just the base lunar lander, and you have yourself a cost-effective, recognisable and easy release that scratches the space itch on a budget. So I've presented 20 different kit options that I think would have potentially been a better set of releases for Airfix and Lidl this June, but which would I have picked and actually run with in stores? Well, let's think about the release. Some have said the main thrust of this is for presents for Father's Day, which I don't necessarily disagree with, so let's accept that, even if I think the idea of putting old kits in new boxes in retail for non-modelers is essentially self-defeating in the long term. So we are looking at kits more suitable for Millennial, Gen X and Baby Boomer generations. We're also looking at a wide audience of non-modelers, so we want our reach to be as wide as possible. Add into that if we can have kits that modelers might also pick up without plundering current product releases, then we can guarantee selling everything without reducing headline profits. Because of that last one, I'm not going to include the DB5, even though I think it's the best of the current crop, nor any of the other starter set cars. The overheads are higher, selling them in Lidl competes with existing product lines, and it might send confusing messages. Instead, I'd have the 1/48 scale quad bike, because it's repurposing something not currently monetized, and because of that, and that modelers can't get access to them currently, we know they'll sell. In the same vein, as another vehicle, I'd put the Bond Bug out there. You can't find them except for silly prices once again. The Transparency retool had related costs, and recouping more for that at this point is important. It's unusual enough to draw the eye to people who don't know it, and it's desirable for modelers too. For aircraft, there are almost too many choices, but I think I'd go with the Firebirds Lightning. Yes, it's an old tool, which means low costs, but the real draw here is the cheap price point and the Firebird decals. I think it'd be snapped up, and the Lightning's lines are simple enough that the age of the kit don't detract too much from the overall build. The next one I would go for would be the SR.N1 Hovercraft. Once again, released not too long ago, so only box art cost rework, an unusual subject and of interest to modelers. It's not a difficult build either, and it's likely to be picked up just because of its oddity as much as anything else. It also has that slight maritime angle, so kids whose dads are interested in sailing may well choose it as a gift for them, where they wouldn't a ground vehicle or aircraft. Lastly, I'd put in the Lunar Module in there. It's not the best of kits, but it's such a unique and momentous point of history that it stands alone just on that. Plus, it hits that space angle for a very wide range of subject choices. One could argue that it might cannibalise the One Small Step sales, but I think the Lunar Module alone is going to pick up sales from those who have no interest in the wider set. It's more of a pure model, and I think those different points would mean it wouldn't be left on shelves. So those are my choices for the Summer Lidl partnership release, but I'd be really interested which of these 20 kits you think would have worked better than what was already put out there, or which other kits should have been included instead. Please do let me know in the comments section below. Now if you enjoyed today's video, then I'd really appreciate a like on it, and if you're interested in other videos taking a slightly unique and esoteric angle to modelling, then please do subscribe and set the notification bell to all, so you can know when I upload further videos like this in the future. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.